Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy, and today I'm inviting you into my kitchen while I make homemade tortillas. For Christmas, I was gifted a tortilla press. Pretty simple piece of equipment. You put the dough in there, a ball of dough, you close it, and then you use the handle to press it down so you get a nice thin tortilla. I had never made tortillas before, but this inspired me to give it a try. Corn tortillas are really simple to make. Who knew? I went online to look at how to make them, and I found masa harina. This one is by Red Mills. This is essentially a corn flour, so it's a little bit of a finer grind than just cornmeal. Everything I found said to use this, and I must say they come out perfect every time, so I guess it was good advice. They're quick to throw together, but it does take a little bit of planning because you do have to let the dough rest before you press them into your flat tortillas. Therefore, today I plan on having quesadillas for lunch along with some leftover soup. So I'm putting my dough together, and then in an hour I will press them out, cook them up, and then at lunchtime, easy peasy, pop them together with a little cheese and jalapeno, and we have quesadillas. We'll start by mixing up the dough. I'm really just following the recipe that's on the back of my corn flour, although I'm only making half a batch because I only need 4 tortillas to make the quesadillas for lunch today. So I'm measuring out 1 cup of the corn flour. And to that, I'm just going to add a good sprinkle of salt. And I'm going to add about 3/4 of a cup of warm water. But I'm just grabbing about a cup, and then I'll just pour, really just adding water until it's moist enough to form a dough, but without being like very sticky and wet. And the dough is coming together nicely, so I'm going to just switch to my hands so that I can work it into a nice ball. Using my hands, it also allows me to feel and make sure that it's moist, but not too moist. If I overdid the water, I would just add a little more flour. If it still feels a little dry, like it doesn't really want to hold together well, I'd add just a little more water. And now I'm going to let the dough sit for about an hour. I like to wet a tea towel to cover it with just to help keep it moist so it doesn't dry out. I have left it longer than an hour. I've definitely cut it back to about half an hour. It seems to work no matter what. You just want time to allow the water to really soak into the corn flour. I am warming up my cast iron pan under probably about medium fire. I'm going to pull out my dough. Again, just playing with it a little bit, making sure it's a nice tight ball, and I'm going to cut it into 4 equal pieces. And make each one of those pieces into its own ball. And again here, if it feels a little dry at all, you can just tap your fingers into a little bit of water just to moisten them a little bit, and that will help add just enough moisture to keep it holding together nicely. If you wanted to make tostadas instead of quesadillas, you could actually cut this into maybe 6 pieces to make smaller little tortillas. And then I'd also cook them a little bit longer so they're a little crispier. But as it is, I simply place a couple pieces of parchment paper on the press just so that it doesn't get too messy. Makes cleanup nice and easy. Make sure that nothing sticks. Press it down, and then I usually rearrange it a little bit and press it one more time just to make sure it's nice and flat and thin. You want it about 1/8 of an inch. If you don't have a press, you could just roll it out with a rolling pin. The press just makes it a little quicker. And then I pop it into the pan, allowing it to cook while I press the other pieces of dough. I cook it usually about a minute on each side just to make sure that the corn is sort of cooked through. At this point, I don't want it too crispy because I'm going to be continuing to cook it when I make the quesadillas. Now all 4 pieces are pressed and it's just a matter of cooking them off. There they are, ready to make quesadillas. You can make just plain quesadillas. I like to add a little extra, so I'm just chopping up some red onion, jalapeno, and then I have a couple different cheeses here, but I think in the end I'm just going to use the Colby Jack. I'm thinly slicing the cheese just to make it melt a little easier. You could also use shredded cheese, whatever's in your refrigerator. I start by warming up the tortillas a little bit in the pan. Then I'll add some cheese, top it with the onions and peppers, and then a little more cheese, and top with the second tortilla. And then I just cook them until they're heated through and the cheese is all nice and melty, flipping them a couple times just so they don't get too crispy or overdone on either side. And you can serve your quesadilla with whatever fixings you like. I prefer slices of avocado and some salsa. You could also use guacamole. You could even spread refried beans over top, sour cream, whatever sounds good to you. And here they are, ready to eat. Delicious.